Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel once again. Today I will be teaching us how you can construct a basque corset. It's really simple, and I'm using a very easy and simple technique that even a beginner can understand. Okay, so we're going to be working with our basic bodice pattern. If you don't know how to do that, I'll be dropping the link in my description box. I've done a detailed tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice pattern. Meanwhile, the backs design is just on the front, so back is still back. Okay, we're going to be working on the front pattern. So let's get started. Actually, now for the neckline I did 4.5 inch by 4 inch. This is not constant, it depends on what you want. Okay, then we're going to determine the depth of the yoke, okay, or the depth of the corset. So I'll be doing 8.5, and then from the shoulder line, along the line that divides the shoulder into two, I will be doing probably 6 or 6.5, but it has to be 1 or 1.5 inch, like lesser than the depth of the yoke. Okay, so I'll be just be doing 6.5. That's like 2 inches difference. Okay, then we'll blend into the armhole. So for this basque corset, you could add yoke to yours or not. Now I'll be marking ½ inch away from the center front, like that. Okay, so like I said, it actually depends on the depth you want to work with. So I'll be marking ½ inch. Okay, and if you want the spacing in between the two cups to be wide, you can do 0.75, but ½ inch is fine. So I'll just use my curved ruler to draw the shape of the style line for the yoke. Okay, you could actually use your French curve to do this and then blend it into the armhole like that. Okay, so like I said, back is back. Okay, no much drama. So the upper part is going to serve as my yoke. So if you don't want yoke, you can cut off that part. That means you're doing like a strapless corset. Okay, all right, but the one we're drafting here is going to be having a yoke. Okay, so here, so far so good. Now on the bust line and the waistline, I'll be marking ½ inch. Then I'll draw a straight line down. Please, if you don't get what I'm talking about at all, like you don't know how to start a basic bodice, just go and watch that tutorial. You understand better. Okay, so because basically we're adapting a basic bodice into a corset pattern with basque. Okay, so here now I'm going to go ahead to fold my bust dart. Okay, then I will just throw it or blend it up with the side seam. Okay, and I always add my side seam allowance already. Okay, so I'm just going to throw it like that. So definitely, if you're a beginner, I'm sure all this is going to sound strange to you. Just watch the basic body tutorial first. Okay, so I'm just going to cut out the unwanted part. I've already cut out my bust dart. Okay, then I'm also going to cut out my waist dart. So everything I'm doing so far is normal basic bodice. Okay, I figured out a better way to explain to us how to cut the corsets, you know, because a lot of people get overwhelmed with the whole tutorial and all of that. So I've already cut out the waist and bust, and I've already closed my bust dart. Okay, so next thing now is I've drawn a straight line connecting the center front and the style line for the yoke. Then if your blouse is going to have a yoke, okay, you may or may not blend. Like you may not do what I'm doing right now, but it's always better for you to blend. It has a better grip around your bust. So I've marked 0.75 on both sides of that line that divides the shoulder, and I'm just shading here out. So we're also going to be cutting this part out. Okay, so far so good. I've not done anything about the corset. Okay, so here now I'm going to fold the paper, because after folding you might need to do some blending and all of that. Then if you're going to be adding yoke to your corset, okay, you just need to like extend the armhole a bit towards the side seam. Okay, so that by the time you close up the darts, you won't have a shortage. Okay, so now I'm going to fold the darts. Like I said, after cutting out the darts, you will need to do some blending. So it's better you just fold it now and then, you know, do all your blending before you finally cut it out. So you're going to fold the dart like so. Okay, so you can see that the neckline has shifted because of the folding of the dart. So we need to blend that part. Now I'm going to get my curved ruler or my French curve. Any of the curved rulers can do this. So I'll just place it from that point and blend it back into the neckline. Okay, it's very important. Now you do this if you're not making use of the yoke. Okay, but if you want to make use of the yoke, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so this is how we're going to be blending it, like this. Okay, so it means when you're cutting this center pattern, you're going to extend it like that. So when you want to join it, you won't have a shortage. So here, can you see that it has blended? Now I'm going to cut out the unwanted parts. Okay, yeah, so that's the excesses I have around the armhole and all that. So let me take off the yoke. Okay, now if you're going to use the yoke, okay, you have to cut along the initial line before we did the blending. So what that means is, after cutting out, I want to place another paper on that and do the blending again. Okay, you can see what I just did now. Okay, because if we cut out that blended part, it's going to affect the yoke. I don't know whether I'm making sense. So this is for those that want to use yoke. Okay, so this is my yoke. All right, so what I'm going to do, right, I'm marking my 0.5 inch seam allowance round. Now I'll place another paper under, okay, to make up for the blended part I cut out. I just hope I'm making sense. Okay, so I'll just fold and like reblend again. Okay, so what I did was I used masking tape to join the two papers underneath. You cannot really see it right now. Yeah, so I'll just cut out. So you can see the way I joined it together. So I'm just cutting out. It's just the same thing I did the first time. Okay, I'm just doing this for those that might want to use the yoke. So this is how it's going to look like. Now I'll cut off the dart at the top part. Okay, now before I do that, we can now draw our bra cups. Okay, it's very easy. So from the boss points, okay, I'm going to link the boss point to the underboss. Okay, like this. You're going to place your cup like this. Okay, and then link it. Okay, so this is the first cup, and then for the second one, you're going to link the underbust line there to the neckline. Now it doesn't have to be like a very sharp U. Okay, it doesn't have to have that sharp U effect. So just place it, just make sure it doesn't get to the side seam. Okay, so you just draw like that, and we have our second cup ready. Can you see that it's like very easy? You know, it's so easy. So now I'm going to cut out the cups, and I'll also take off the dart. So I'm just cutting off the dart like so. The next thing, I'm going to cut off the cups now. Okay, so I'm taking off the cups, and then the second one too. Now after I take off the cups, I will now join the center front piece and the center and the side piece together. So here are the all the panels for the front. I'll now join it together like this. Okay, so and then I'm going to use my masking tape to close it. Okay, now for a Basque corset, the center front is longer. Yeah, that's what gives it that in a very beautiful, it gives it that V shaped kind of. So I'm going to place this on another pattern paper, and then I will extend the length by at least 3 inches. 3 inches is fine, please don't go more than 3 inches. So this is 3 inches. Then I'll link the waistline to that 3-inch point, either by a straight line or by a curved. It actually depends on the design you want, but I'll be using the curved part of my ruler. You could do the straight part too, and then you link it to the side seam like this. Okay, so you can see that we have drafted out the Basque pattern. Okay, so here, yeah. Now we need to adapt this to our skirt pattern. So your skirt can be a mermaid skirt, can be a straight skirt, can be short or long, whatever. So we're going to be doing a pencil skirt, a short skirt actually, because it's a tutorial. So you dot a basic skirt pattern. Okay, on the waistline you're going to mark half of your waist circumference measurement plus that intake 1 inch. Okay, then seam allowance obviously. Then on the hip line, quarter of the hip plus 1 for side seam allowance. On the hemline, quarter of hip minus 1 plus 1 inch for side seam allowance basically. Then distance from the waist to the hip is usually between 7 and 8. Okay, yeah. Now for the dart spacing, there is no particular figure. It has to conform with your body shape. So what you do is just measure the length, okay, from your center front to the original measurements. Okay, then you divide it into 2. So for me that's 4.25. Then you come down by at least 4 inch. Okay, so and make sure your dart stops 2 inches before the hip line, and mind you, the front dart is always shorter than the back. So I'll just do 4 inch for the front there. Yeah, so I hope you got the explanation for the dart spacing. I said you're going to measure the waist measurement on the waistline plus the dart intake and divide it by 2. Okay, now I'm constructing my dart. I'm marking ½ inch on both sides of that line, okay, like that. Then I'm going to come down from my waistline by ½ inch. That is how you construct a basic pencil skirt. So that's on the center front. Now with my ruler, I'm going to draw the new waistline. Okay, there. So I will first of all fold in my dart on the skirts. That's because we have already closed the dart on the bodice, so we have to close the dart on the skirt too. Okay, then I can now mark my 1 inch that I was talking about on the waistline, and then you now reshape it this way. Okay, all right. So you might have to pin the dart on the skirt so it doesn't move here and there. Then you're not going to place the bodice on the skirt like this. Okay, make sure the side seam matches well, and then I'm trying to close it properly here. Okay, so you're going to place the bodice on the skirt like this, because now that the bodice is elongated towards on the center front, you have to subtract that from the skirt too. Okay, so you just place it like so, and then use your masking tape to hold it together, and then you cut out. Okay, so I'll be cutting this on the skirt now. So you can now see that the skirt, the waistline of the skirt now is no more straight. You can see, so automatically it fits into the bodice. So I'm just cutting out my skirts. So like I said, back is back. We're not doing anything at the back. Is, you know, the basic back pattern. So now you can now open up the dart on the skirt. Okay, so back to our front, our bodice pattern. Here it is. So now we're going to be dividing our bodice into segments. Okay, the boning line. So this is the first boning line. Okay, then you can have straight boning lines, you can have slanted boning lines. Just, you can be creative with that one. You don't have to follow a particular pattern. So I'm just doing basic boning line, which is normal straight line. Then you can have as many boning lines as possible, but just be ready to work. The more boning lines you have, the more, you know, the more the sewing. So I'll just do about 4 boning lines is fine. Since it's just a tutorial, you can always tweak it, you know, to suit what you want. Then make sure you draw the arrows, so that after you finish deconstructing the pattern, you don't get confused. And you should also label. You should also label before cutting out. So I'm going to label this. I'll label it F1, F2, F3, and I think I have F4. Yeah, so after labeling, you can now go ahead to start cutting. Okay, so you can see the importance of labeling. Now after cutting out like this, I'll go ahead and cut up all of this on my fabric and add ½ inch seam allowance round and join everything together. So here, this is what it looks like. Okay, I've joined my curve, and Now I've joined my skirt. Now I'm having little folds here and there because it's on satin. I didn't add any interfacing. It's just a tutorial. Okay, so this is it. This is how you're going to sew it, and I used wadding to pad my corsets. Okay, so I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you need a complete tutorial on how to sew the corset, I think I've done that in my previous tutorial on how to sew a corset top. Yeah, I did a detailed tutorial on how to like sew everything and put the boning line and all of that. So thank you so much for watching. Leave your comment and reaction. Bye.